to show up and vote. And in this off-year election, that's really going to be the challenge. And then you have people like Camilla who are fired up about a change in leadership. And again, that is not a good sign for Governor Newsom at this point.
Jacob, stay with us. Want to bring into the conversation columnist for the Los Angeles Times, Jean Guerrero. Jean, great to have you with us this morning. So what does this look like to you as you sort of handicap this race? Obviously, this is only the second time, as Jacob pointed out, in the history of California that a recall effort, got enough signatures to make it onto the ballot. Gray Davis was recalled in 2003, replaced with Arnold Schwarzenegger. How's this going to turn out?
If you are a person of color, please listen to what Jean Guerrero has to say about Gavin Newsom. This is critical and so important.
Well, it's unclear. I mean, it depends on how many people turn out. I think it's important to remember that this is a recall that was fundamentally launched by anti-immigrant nativists. I mean, despite the fact that it has picked up steam among people who are frustrated for more legitimate reasons, the fact of the matter is that the people who were angry with Gavin Newsom's pro-immigrant stance are the people who launched this recall. He has been the most pro-Latino governor that this state has ever seen, according to immigrant rights leaders who I've spoken to. You know, he's invested heavily in public education, which has helped working class Latinos. He has expanded health insurance to undocumented seniors and protected essential workers during the pandemic. He's prioritized high-risk Latino areas for COVID vaccines. And those are the reasons, I mean, when you look at the voter information guide that comes with the ballot, those are the reasons that the recall was launched. And it's important to remember as well that while Newsom is not perfect and there are legitimate reasons to potentially vote him out in the next legitimate, not anti-democratic election like this one, the alternative is Larry Elder, who is in fact, far to the right of Donald Trump on immigrant rights and racial justice issues. He wants to reverse all of California's progress on sanctuary laws. He wants to take away driver's licenses from undocumented immigrants. He doesn't believe in in-state tuition for Dreamers. He doesn't even believe in birthright citizenship, which is enshrined in our Constitution. Larry Elder has made a career as a talk show host who denies the fact of systemic racism, and he mentored Trump's senior advisor Stephen Miller, who calls him his one-true guide. So there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about this recall election.
Yeah, Jacob, there is a regularly scheduled gubernatorial election next year. In fact, the primary is only 9 months away in next June. But talking to people on the ground like you have been, Jacob, what is the impetus for those who are saying, yes, this governor should be recalled? Many of the leaders who are launching it have pointed to restrictive mandates, shutting down of businesses and schools and masks and all the other things that have accompanied this pandemic. But what is the thrust of the argument against Governor Newsom?
Well, I think the governor actually laid it out himself relatively well. To me, this has been a horrendous 18 months in California for virtually everybody, including COVID, but not just limited to it. This is the most unequal state in the union when it comes to income inequality. I drove in this morning in Los Angeles past multiple homeless encampments of unhoused people. There are more unhoused people sleeping on the streets of Los Angeles County than anywhere else in the nation. But I think Jean, makes a really important point, Willie. These are big policy differences here, especially when it comes to issues like immigration. And Jean, I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned it briefly, but I see on the shelf behind you your book, Hate Monger. You studied Stephen Miller extremely closely, and Larry Elder essentially is a mentor to Stephen Miller. He appeared multiple times, as you've reported, on Larry Elder's program. Stephen Miller, of course, one of the architects of the family separation policy that here in California and throughout the nation was sort of uniquely disavowed by Republicans and Democrats. What has Larry Elder said about the role Stephen Miller would play in a Larry Elder governorship in California?
First of all, there's a long list of things that Gavin has done for the people of the state of California, including getting them more money and putting things like homelessness and inequality as top priorities, and already taken many steps towards alleviating that and making it better. On the other hand, Larry Elder is more far right than Trump. He cannot stand immigrants. He wants to sabotage them in every way. He wants to take all of our voting rights away. He wants to put people like Stephen Miller in power along with Trump and take away even more rights. That is the goal of this election, is to steal the state of California and reverse everything that's been done so they can control the votes of the state. Listen to what Jean has to say about Larry Elder.
Well, according to correspondence that I obtained for my book, Hate Monger, he wants Stephen Miller to be president of the United States someday. He told Stephen Miller that. And as I mentioned before, Stephen Miller called Larry Elder his one true guide. When I interviewed Larry Elder for the book, Larry Elder told me that, he defended Stephen Miller's family separation policies. As I mentioned, he is very anti-immigration, and we're not just talking about illegal immigration. I'm talking about legal immigration. He doesn't believe people who are born in this country should be citizens if their parents don't have their papers in order, which again is enshrined in the Constitution. So, if the Republicans succeed in flipping the most pro-immigrant rights, pro-racial justice state in this country, it is going to set a nightmare precedent for Black and Latino communities across the United States, because it's going to feature heavily in midterm ads. It's going to embolden anti-immigrant, xenophobic governors in other states. It is potentially going to stall immigration reform efforts in Congress and create questions around whether Latinos are a legitimately powerful political entity, given that Newsom has done so much for Latino communities. While it is, as you mentioned, true that many Latinos are upset with Newsom because of how difficult it has been during the pandemic.
Well, that election is 13 days away on September 14th, and as Jacob points out, much closer right now in the polling than Governor Newsom would like it to be. Jean Guerrero, columnist for the LA Times. Thank you. Jacob, thank you as well. We will see you again up extraordinarily early on the West Coast to host